Welcome to The Explainer. You know, when the first atomic bomb was built, it was the ultimate power, and it was held by just one nation. But that monopoly, well, it didn't last long. That single explosion kicked off one of the most dangerous, high-stakes races in all of human history. Today, we're going to trace the wild story of how the world's most terrifying weapons spread across the globe, creating the exclusive and very dangerous nuclear club.
And it all started, believe it or not with a huge bang, but with a quiet discovery in a laboratory that would absolutely shake the world: nuclear fission. I mean, can you imagine the stunning realization that you could unleash an almost unimaginable amount of energy just by splitting a tiny atom? That one discovery set off a secret race, one fueled by spies, betrayal, and intense national pride. And the result? Today, 10 nations hold that ultimate power. So, the question is, how on earth did we get here? Okay, let's dive right in. We're starting with the project that literally changed the world forever and kicked this whole competition into high gear.
Terrified that the Nazis would get there first, the Allies just poured a staggering amount of resources into one single top-secret goal. And when I say staggering, I mean it. We're talking nearly 1% of the entire US GDP at the time, all laser-focused on one thing: build the bomb before anyone else can.
So picture this. It's 1945 at the Potsdam Conference. The Trinity test just succeeded. President Truman pulls the Soviet leader, Joseph Stalin, aside to tell him about America's powerful new weapon. You know, he's probably expecting a look of shock or awe, maybe even a little bit of fear.
But Stalin, he barely even reacted. He just kind of nodded and wished him well. And here's the kicker. What Truman had no idea about was that Stalin wasn't surprised at all. Why? Because Soviet spies were already buried deep inside the Manhattan Project, feeding him info the whole time. The arms race was already on before the first bomb ever even fell.
So, when the Soviet Union tested its own atomic bomb in 1949, suddenly America's monopoly was just gone. The game was now getting exponentially more dangerous, and the world was heading into a new, even more terrifying phase of this arms race. And get this, scientists weren't just tweaking the old design. They were working on something totally new: thermonuclear weapons, what we call hydrogen bombs. These things worked on a completely different principle, not splitting atoms apart, but smashing them together. You know, literally mimicking the process that powers our sun. It is almost impossible to wrap your head around the scale of this leap. We are not just talking about a bigger bomb. This was a 1,000-fold increase in destructive power. This was the kind of weapon that had its own creators warning it could literally wipe out all life on Earth.
Meanwhile, you've got these old empires, and they're starting to feel like they're being left in the dust. The UK, who was a partner in the Manhattan Project, was suddenly shut out by the Americans. So, to keep its seat at the big table, they felt they had no choice but to go it alone. And France, feeling pushed around by the superpowers, saw the bomb as the only real way to guarantee its own national sovereignty.
All right, so now the race really goes global. A new, massive, and incredibly determined player was about to enter the scene and change the geopolitical map for good.
Now, China actually got a head start with help from its communist ally, the Soviet Union. But when that relationship went sour, the Soviets packed up and left, and they took all their technical help with them. So overnight, China's on its own. But instead of giving up, they got even more determined and just started pouring immense resources into their own program.
And boy, did they move fast. China didn't just join the club in 1964. They developed the H-bomb in just 2.5 years. To this day, that is still the fastest jump from a basic fission weapon to an advanced fusion bomb in history. Absolutely incredible.
Okay, so this next wave of countries getting the bomb, it wasn't about Cold War politics anymore. Oh no, this was way more personal. This was all about deep-seated regional conflicts, national survival, and a whole lot of secrecy.
Which brings us to the world's most famous open secret: Israel's nuclear program. It was developed covertly out in the desert with a little early help from France. And ever since, Israel has maintained this policy of, well, they call it deliberate ambiguity. They won't confirm they have the bomb, but they won't deny it either.
The world only really got confirmation back in 1986, all thanks to a whistleblower named Mordecai Vanunu. But it's a crazy story. Before his story could even be published, he was lured into a classic honey trap by an Israeli agent, kidnapped in Rome, and sentenced to 18 years in prison for treason, straight out of a spy movie.
Now, let's look at India. Feeling kind of trapped between its nuclear rival China and its neighbor Pakistan, India started its own program. And in 1974, they conducted their first test.
But they pulled a pretty clever move, framing it not as a weapon, but as get this, a peaceful nuclear explosion. Yeah, the world wasn't really buying it.
And Pakistan's response to India's test? It was immediate. It was absolute. The Prime Minister, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, famously declared that his people would eat grass if they had to, but they would get the bomb. And their program got a huge head start when a scientist named A.Q. Khan literally stole top-secret blueprints for centrifuges from his job in the Netherlands and brought them home.
The last few members of this club have some of the wildest and most modern stories, including one country that actually built the bomb and then just gave it up.
Okay, this one is fascinating. During the height of apartheid, the government of South Africa felt completely isolated, backed into a corner by what it saw as hostile states. So believing they needed the ultimate insurance policy, they covertly built a small but totally functional nuclear arsenal of 6 bombs.
But what they did next, well, nobody saw it coming. It's totally unprecedented. As the apartheid regime was ending, right before the transition to Nelson Mandela's government, they voluntarily dismantled their entire program. They destroyed the bombs, the blueprints, everything. It is the only time in history a country has built nuclear weapons and then willingly given them up.
And that brings us to North Korea. For them, it was all about one thing, one brutally simple thing: regime survival. They believed having a nuclear bomb was the only thing that could guarantee their power against a potential attack from the US. So they played this long game of deception and eventually became the only nation to ever just walk away from the Non-Proliferation Treaty, the big international agreement to stop the spread of these weapons for the express purpose of building one.
And all of this, all these stories, it boils down to this one terrifyingly logical idea that has somehow kept a very fragile peace: mutually assured destruction. Or, MAD. It's the absolute certainty that if you launch a nuclear attack, you will be destroyed in return. And that guarantee is often hiding silently in the depths of the ocean in nuclear submarines ready to launch retaliatory strike no matter what happens back home.
And that leaves us all with a pretty chilling final thought. The science behind the first atomic bombs, it's 80 years old now. The blueprints, the knowledge, it's out there. The technology itself really isn't the main barrier anymore. The only thing preventing the nuclear club from getting bigger today is international politics, not science. And that's a reality we all just have to live with.